Hello everyone, today we have patch 16 notes and I'm quite excited to go through these because there are a few changes that are pretty tasty and are going to change the game quite a lot. So let's get started right away with the new in-game event QoL. A new in-game event, QoL, has started, featuring a festive atmosphere, unique mechanics, and a variety of challenges for players. We have this new in-game task line, a special themed in-game task as part of the event. Completing certain stages unlocks new features, including the QoL mode, and players who complete the main event tasks will receive a unique achievement and a special reward. So the QoL mode will be available on certain maps. You've got Lighthouse, Shoreline, Woods, Customs, Reserve, and Interchange, pretty much all the outdoorsy kind of maps. And the objective here is to locate and refuel the generator. You then protect it for 5 minutes, you light the Christmas tree and complete that stage. It says after successfully defending the tree, players unlock the transit to the next location. I don't know if this means that you need to do it all in one go or something, but we'll see. But there does appear to be something to do with transit as part of this event. Then we've also got this Frostbite status effect, which is new. It's a new status that reduces players' visibility and stamina. I think we might have seen this effect previously. There was an AI that when you went near them, they gave you this kind of icy look around, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just reused that from that previous event. And this effect goes away in shelters, near burning barrels, or when drinking alcohol, so keep a vodka on you and you can get rid of this, which is kind of fun. And then, of course, we've got the winter weather season for patch 16 because it's December. The winter weather season has been adjusted to improve the visual and atmospheric elements on locations. We have the updated winter environment visuals, more snowdrifts in areas for variety, which is cool. A winter-themed factory, because there's some outside areas now on the updated version of that map, and a unique winter sound design for all locations. Maybe that's background audio. We already know the footsteps are kind of a bit different in winter, so we'll probably have to give that a little test when the patch comes through. So in terms of new content, we have the customs rework. We've seen some pictures of this already from Nikita. Updated the old textures and materials on location and replaced the old objects with more up-to-date ones. Fully updated some of the buildings on location, replaced all opaque glass blocks with transparent ones. Opened 3 buildings up on the industrial territory, so these previously closed buildings which we can now go inside. Added new objects to location, including exploding propane cylinders. We've all had a lot of fun with that on labs, so thanks BSG for adding that to customs as well. Added new points of interest and a new transit to Shoreline with some new Exfils. Now the transit to Shoreline is actually kind of cool because if we go over to Rima's map of map-to-map travel, as it is at the moment, this thing, you can see here that there's kind of a missing loop here. So we previously, kind of as a community, figured that you probably go all the way through this loop like BSG intended, and there's this little loop around here to allow you to go back and forth. But Shoreline is kind of the end game because you're going to end up going to Terminal for 1.0, but obviously that's not out at the moment. And so when you get to Shoreline, you're kind of stuck. You either just have to go back to Lighthouse or extract normally. But now that there's a little link from Shoreline over to Customs, you can do sort of whatever loop you like. I think Interchange is probably the one that's looking a little bit orphaned at the moment. But given you can go back and forth from streets to Customs, it's not too bad. So now you can do smaller loops like this. You can go Shoreline, Customs, Reserve, Lighthouse, back to Shoreline in that loop, which is cool. So I'm glad they've added that. I think they did need that because Shoreline was, a little bit left on its own. Then we have Prestige. So a new Prestige was coming. This is a new mechanic for endgame players that unlocks a new set of rewards and allows you to start your exploration of Tarkov anew, retaining some progression. So Prestige is available for PvP at the moment. Nikita did say he was considering it for PvE. They've said the next iterations and some rewards will be available in PvE and EFT Arena. This doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get Prestige in PvE, just that you can use some of the rewards in PvE. But for the time being, to earn a Prestige, you must fulfill several conditions. So character level 55 at a bare minimum, progress through certain in-game tasks, I'm sure this will go up on the wiki once people figure out what they are, build and upgrade certain hideout zones, have certain items and money in stash, and reach character skill level. A bit worried about this one because the character skill level thing in Tarkov is a bit iffy depending on exactly which skill it is, but that kind of remains to be seen. Each Prestige level resets the player's profile in EFT and EFT Arena, but without resetting achievements, Prestige levels, Arena armory progress, and statistics in EFT and EFT Arena. When you earn a Prestige, you may choose to retain some equipment, a certain percentage of character skills, and weapon mastery. In patch 16, a total of 2 Prestige levels are available. Nikita already said this, so this is no big surprise. In the future, they will add 8 more. Now, this is the most interesting part about this. Prestige levels and rewards do not reset with wipes and will remain with the player forever. So if you Prestige and get to Prestige level 2, that seems like it will follow you through into patch 16.5, patch 17, whatever, which is kind of interesting. Prestige rewards cannot be obtained in any other way, so this is the only way you can be able to do this. Rewards for earning Prestige levels. You have a special icon next to the nickname for each Prestige level, which is nice. Added next to the player's in-game icon, and you can get all these Nikita talked about these things before: main menu backgrounds, hideout styles. There's nothing really here that actually affects the game except maybe additional daily tasks and additional weekly tasks. The other stuff is all gestures, hideout styles, dog tag styles, hideout customization, things like that. Like +1 charisma skill doesn't really do much right now, and some achievements. So unless there's some rewards that are tied to those achievements too, then it won't really have that much impact on actual gameplay. But it'd be cool to have a different dog tag, you know, feel special if you go and do the prestige thing. In the future, we plan to add character appearance. You imagine having a unique appearance because you've got prestige. It's kind of neat. And voice. Unique tactical clothing, uppers and lowers, hideout styles, shooting range targets, stash expansions, Tarkov figurines, and more. Nice. So next we have new weapons, equipment, and loot. So the RSH-G2 rocket launcher, which we already saw on Tarkov TV previously. The Sacco bolt-action rifle, this is the 338 Lapua. The Achilles Defense Velociraptor 300 Blackout Assault Rifle. This is apparently an AK pattern style gun. It kind of looks like an AK, so that's sort of interesting. I wasn't expecting that to come to the game. Saiga 12K, 12 gauge automatic shotgun. So I guess after the AA12 got added, they've added the Saiga version as well. We've seen that they're not actually that powerful. They're not as powerful as people might think, but they could be good in the early wipe. If you find one, you know, in the first couple of days, they can be quite good, and maybe they're better for leg meta actually with Magnum buckshot, but we need to try this. The Scar H X17 762x51. This sounds the same as the other two, but apparently it might be something to do with the 50 round mags. I think this might be a lower that allows you to add other magazines outside of the Scar one, but don't quote me on that because I'm not a gun expert, just what I heard from someone. Akula Push Dagger, V40 Mini Grenade. This is the tiny little ping pong ball one that got added to Arena. Then we've got new models for the PP19, the Saiga 9, the MPX, which we already saw a little bit, various weapon attachments and barter and other items being added, and updated a bunch of icons, as BSG like to do on various patches. So the next part is continuous healing. This is one of the many quality of life features that are coming in this particular patch. Continuous healing is the ability to heal all body parts in a single use of the medkit. So if you get your arm blacked out and you end up with 1 damage on the rest of your body, you don't have to do a full medkit heal for every individual limb. Honestly, that's a lot of why people like using Propitols, because you just stick it in and it just heals up that couple of ticks of damage across every body part. It's one of the really useful things about it. When selected, the medkit will treat all injured body parts sequentially and, if possible, remove negative effects. So you've got this priority list. So a body part with a heavy bleed comes first, a light bleed second, a fracture third, the most missing health if you don't have any other status effects, then the head, and then the thorax. You'll basically have to decide whether this priority list is what you want. Normally you want this first, which is the last on the list, and so, you know, you may want to consider using this on a separate key, because you can have this and the original mode, I think. So it says activating continuous healing is available either in the game settings, replacing the standard healing with continuous, which I'm probably not going to do, and then by pressing the hotkeyed medical button and selecting full treatment with the mouse wheel. I don't know whether you're able to do this without this, but you must also select this as the release button type in the settings. So it sounds like there's a hotkey for full treatment for the meds, so maybe you can have it on your normal hotkey and then also a separate one on full treatment for another key. That would be my preference, but I'm gonna have to play around with the hotkeys to see if you can actually get that to work. We'll see though. I think this is going to be useful either way. Next one, hidden exfils. This feature allows players to find unique ways to leave the raid while exploring locations. Hidden exfils do not appear in the list of available exfils at the beginning of the raid. They only become visible after finding a special in-raid item. This is really cool. Hidden exfil information is visible to the player who found the item and the members of their group. All players in the area where the hidden exfil is activated can exit through it, even if their character had no information about it. So if you bump into the hidden exfil, you can actually still go through it. Hidden exfils are available for both PMC and player scavs, and features of this hidden exfil activation. Each hidden exfil on a location requires its own unique item. The item cannot be taken out of the raid, it gets deleted if it was unused, and once used, the special item disappears. So you can't save it up between different raids, it should be used in that particular raid. I like this because it increases the sort of interactivity with the map. In that particular raid, you're looking for a particular item, which you can then go and use to extract out of this special exit. And then you've got hidden exfils available on all these maps. We've got Customs, Shoreline Reserve, Lighthouse, Ground Zero, Factory Streets, and Woods. It looks like there isn't any on Labs, and also Interchange for some reason. I don't know why that is the case, but we have 10 maps and there's only 8 here. So these are the ones you can use on, just not Labs and Interchange for the moment. Now, next we have the BTR driver storyline. So it's like a quest line with the BTR driver. Added a task line for him. The chain starts a mechanic at level 20, so keep an eye out for that when you get to level 20. A helping hand. Completing the chain earns the new achievement and unique rewards such as barters for new items, weapons, customization items, and more. I imagine you probably can just buy them through mechanic. I guess you're probably not going to the BTR guide to do barters, but maybe. We'll see. The task chain will also be available for completion after the Christmas event, so don't stress too much about getting this one done right away. And on Woods, they've added a couple of new things. The BTR stop train depot, updated the BTR's route and increased the spawn chance, so it spawns in 4 out of 5 raids, which is quite nice. Next, we have hideout customization. Added the ability to customize the hideout, as well as the ability to visit your friend's hideout when viewing their profile. This one's kind of weird. You can customize the hideout's floor, wall, ceiling, shooting range targets, place posters on the walls, and place collectibles on the shelves and tables. Hideout styles are unlocked for each character level, completing certain tasks and earning achievements. Shooting range targets are unlocked by leveling up the shooting range zone and completing certain tasks. Ability to mount posters is unlocked as you upgrade the hideout. Posters can be found as loot on all locations and for earning prestige levels. I wonder how big the posters actually are. So if you kill someone, they've got posters on them, you can then put those up in your own hideout. It's kind of going to be one of those things that you really don't want to lose. Installable collectibles are identical to the Hall of Fame zone. So I guess they've got set locations for them, and then you go into a customization menu and then you put them up, something like that. When viewing someone else's hideout, this is the weird thing. When viewing someone else's hideout, you can access their shooting range to test weapons and use their gym. So you don't actually have to upgrade the gym yourself if you don't want to, because you could just go to someone else's profile. I don't know, it says like when viewing someone else's hideout, so you just like pick anybody. You can just pick like Pestely's hideout and like go and level up your gym skills in his hideout without leveling up yourself. I'm not sure. But as well as being able to switch the hideout's lighting, all the other zones and item crafts are unavailable. So you could do these two things and that's it. Interesting choice. So next on achievements, there's a couple of other ones. All-wheel drives, this is the BTR driver's line, and you get some wallpapers for it. The Korovod task, you get a couple of things, bear, winter, upper and lower, and USEC winter, upper and lower, if you do the Christmas event. And then they've changed some extra things here. So reward changes fatal outcome and complete remission. These were the two zombie events, if you actually managed to get to the end and finish them. Now the reward is a Saiga 12k shotgun available at Prapor level 4 and Jaeger level 4, depending on which one that you did. They've kind of retrofitted the reward for these afterwards for something that you now can't complete. So this means that if you completed those events, you're able to get access to this shotgun at level 4 traders. If you didn't, then you're going to have to get it some other way. They've also added a couple of other rewards for other things: ready for anything, blue paint hideout, jack of all trades, small tiles hideout floor style, factory walls, factory floor, factory ceiling, depending on which ones of these you've done. And then the snowball, which is the USEC Predator upper clothing. The snowball one is the one where you have to kill all the bosses in one go. It's incredibly difficult. Only a very small number of players actually have this. I definitely don't have this. And they've removed the Predator upper clothing from this task, which was deleted completely. Overseas Trust, which were late game Lightkeeper tasks, and they've moved them into this achievement reward instead to give you the Predator stuff. So additional requirements remain the same, such as trader rep, character level, clothing, money value. Players who have previously completed the listed achievements will receive the rewards when they log into the game. So I have a bit more character customization coming. We've got added winter clothing kits for Bear and USEC available as rewards for completing the in-game event, like we saw, as well as new unique kits available in the expansion. So these are the clothing cosmetics that you can buy with microtransactions, which is fine. Also added a snowman t-shirt, which is available during the winter free weekend in EFT Arena. Now we're going to get on to some other changes and improvements. This is a big one. Updated the game engine version to Unity 2022. We've been waiting for this forever, so hopefully this will allow the BSG team some extra leeway in terms of the tools to do the things they need to do to actually finish the game, optimize streets and a few other things. Improve the system to combat the use of banned third-party software, so more cheater stuff, so we'll see. Audio has been updated to Meta XR Audio version 69. Oculus was bought by Facebook, so that's why this ends up being like Meta Audio. Implemented the dynamic variation of movement, sound hearing radius, depending on the movement speed and type. Improved the attenuation curves, which is how much it drops off at range, and sound filtering, depending on the source's vertical positioning. Gonna probably have to do some more audio testing this wipe to see exactly what this means. Along with this, added a new reverb system for all locations with a physical model based on the calculations of the real environment geometry, allowing for a new immersive experience and helping to improve sound spatialization. Remove the option to select binaural audio. So you're going to be on binaural audio whether you like it or not now. But yeah, we're going to have to check these just to see exactly what they've done and see how it sounds. Every time, like the headsets seem to change every single time they do anything like this because, as I said, they're adjusting attenuation curves and that changes like the ranges that you can hear people from at different distances. So it's all quite complicated and it has, you know, quite a big effect on the game. There's a lot of audio information that you get in Tarkov and it makes a big difference. So we'll test this and see what they've done. But they are trying, they are trying to update this stuff, and we've got a new version of the audio engine, so that's good. Visual recoil changes. This is the one everybody freaked out last time on Tarkov TV when Nikita showed some of these things, because I don't know, I think the community does just feel that they should probably just leave recoil alone at this point. I hope that this is the end of it. Reworked the visual component of the weapon recoil, so it doesn't change the actual pattern, so let me just be clear about that. Improved the shooting perception to make it more realistic and detailed. So new effect, random weapon sway and horizontal rotation, so the gun will drift a bit more when you're shooting. Implemented the visual effect of the bolt hitting the receiver. Added a camera shake, reflecting the buttstock hitting the shoulder. A slight barrel sway effect for pistols. Shotguns now have inertia and caliber power effect. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Maybe they pull back more depending on the power of the actual shell they're firing. updated the third person aiming animations, and then a little bit of recoil balancing changes. So reduced the camera lift amplitude while shooting full auto for all weapons. And this might just be to counter some of these. So if they're adding extra sway and visual recoil up here, then they've removed some of the actual full auto lift just to make it a little bit easier and balance it out. And they've also reduced the recoil bounce for the DSA SA58, which is the FAL. This is probably necessary, and also the SCAR H. I'm intrigued by this because the SCAR H probably was the best 308 gun already, given that new receiver, and we've also seen screenshots already of a 50-round drum being usable with the SCAR H. Given this was probably already the best weapon in 308, now with a large drum magazine and probably the lowest recoil, I think the SCAR H will be meta this wipe, all other things being equal, so we'll see. But I think watch out for the SCAR H being really, really insane this time. Then we have a couple of AI changes. Partisan, Raiders, Rogues, and regular bots can use the underbarrel grenade launchers, so watch out. Improved AI combat behavior, the ability to flank, use suppressive fire, and switch to aggressive assault mode. I think this one, switch to aggressive assault mode, is maybe going to be the best, because quite often you can just take a rest when you're playing against, you know, someone like Rishala's guards, and you fault them a bit and they're not coming out to fight you, and you just sit outside and repack your mags, heal up everything, whatever. They just stay inside and they won't come and attack you. So I think that probably is better to make them a bit more pushy, because it does feel a bit strange and a bit cheesy when you're playing against them. Improved the AI PMC behavior when searching for loot in the PvE zone, and fixed several AI behavior issues. Fine. So grenade damage mechanics rework. So adjusted the mechanics of the grenade blast damage propagation. So shrapnel and blast damage take into account the ballistic setting in the environment geometry between the player and the center of the grenade explosion. Now I thought this happened already, but maybe it was too much. So if there was like a little box in front of you, then you just wouldn't get killed by it at all. So I think they've made this a little bit more nuanced. We're gonna have to see. I don't feel like grenades were necessarily bad before, so I don't know whether this might make them too powerful. Again, we'll just have to try them and then see if they are crazy or not. Maybe start using grenades a bit more, given that this seems to be a buff of some kind, I think, but we'll see. Now, this next one, priority window selection, is actually quite good. This is a little bit technical. I had to reread this a couple of times, but it sounds good. We're going to have to play with it in-game to see exactly how it works, but I think this is going to save us some time. So I added the ability to select the priority window when interacting with the character's inventory, secure container, rig, backpack, sorting table when out of raid. By default, the container or the sorting table window is prioritized when it's opened, and when another window is opened, the priority shifts to it. So this is kind of how it is now. So when you open the sorting table, you can use a particular keybind. I think it's either control click or shift click. I actually forget when I'm not doing it myself, but that allows you to move items into the sorting table. This really does extend that and allows you to use that methodology with any window. So I'm pressing Control left mouse button on an item from another window, character inventory, stash, or wherever, the item is moved to the priority window, which you can now set. When pressing left mouse button or right mouse button on another window, item from another window, title bar, or whatever, that becomes the priority window. So if you like move a different window. The stash is the default if no other windows are open, and then added a priority window button to the stash window. After pressing it, the stash becomes the priority window, because yeah, if you click on the stash, it doesn't become it unless you press the actual special button. And this feature doesn't work in all sorts of other places, but what you can do here, so in the game settings, you can enable auto priority, which is this that we just talked about. You can enable manual priority, or you can disable it completely. If manual priority is selected, there's a prioritize this window button, which will appear on pretty much anything that contains slots. And when you press that, then the window becomes a priority window. I don't know why you'd use this over the automatic one, because just clicking in a window would be good enough, I think. I think you can get used to that. The priority can be removed by pressing the button again, closing it, or assigning another window. When you close it, the priority does not transfer. The other logic is identical to auto priority. So basically, it's complicated, right? Listening to it. This is not an easy thing to describe. I think we just have to use it. But what we're going to do is say you've got like a load of ammo in your stash and you open up one of your ammo cases. If you've got it on auto, that window will become the priority window by default. And you can use Control left mouse button on your ammo and it'll automatically go into the ammo box. And the same thing if you open up a money case and then you have that as the priority window, and then you go to all of your rubles or dollars or whatever, you can use Control click and just click, and they'll just go straight into the money box. This is probably one step before drag selecting a whole bunch of stuff and dragging it in. It's definitely going to make it more useful, because previously the most efficient way of doing it was opening up the sorting table and then putting your container in there and then using Control click to click all your items into the sorting table and then moving them into the box. But you don't have to actually drag and drop anymore with the items. You just have to press Control and left mouse button, as long as you've got your priority window set right. So I think this is actually going to be really helpful. Next, we have the dog tag style selection, so the ability to select the dog tag style on the character screen. Everybody can have a standard account dog tag if they want. EOD is available to EOD edition people, and also if you upgraded from EOD to unheard. Unheard is available to players who own unheard, so if you have unheard but you never had EOD, you actually can't select the EOD dog tag. and prestige dog tags will be available to owners of any edition in PvP after obtaining the corresponding prestige level. A couple of quality of life improvements. This one is good. I did a pop-up with a confirmation of the PvE PvP zone switch. That's in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Sometimes if you try to go and click settings, you accidentally click on PvE mode instead, or if you're on PvE mode, you accidentally click PvP, and it does take quite a while to swap from one to the other, and it's annoying because there's no confirmation. So now they've added that, which is good. I think it was actually Baddie who came up with this. Added the ability to scroll in the task item transfer window. Updated the character creation screen, so now all of these things are on the same screen. So you've got your nickname, voice, and appearance settings, rather than it being on, one screen. Choose your nickname, next one, then choose your face and choose your voice. They're all on the same screen now, which is good. There's a huge set of balancing changes on the ref builds. Without seeing them in game, this doesn't really mean anything. So they've updated all these different weapon builds on ref, SKS, MPX, AKM. There's loads of them down here. Now, this one is really, really big. There's 2 parts here, and they're like hidden at the bottom, and people actually might miss them, but they are humongous. Listing offers on the PvP flea market will be available 2 weeks after the end of patch 16 installation. So no flea for 2 weeks. Doesn't matter who you are, you could get to level 50, but still no flea. This is going to be massive for the game. This actually has a really, really big impact on the early wipe, and this disproportionately hurts those players who can play more, which is great. I think that it allows people to get to the flea market in their own time. It gives you basically 2 weeks to get to the flea without feeling like you're behind. Until then, it means that the players who play a lot will be playing kind of hardcore, right? Because like no flea market really does impact how you play the game and the ammo that you get and making money and everything. So I think this is a really good idea. And then the next part, which compounds on this, building and upgrading hideout zones now requires items with the found in raid mark, except for in-game currency. This is humongous. This is so big, because usually you get to level 15 and then you just smash through the flea market and buy everything for your hideout. You now need to find all of these things yourself. So you need to go and find car battery for yourself. You need to go and find 14 bulbs yourself. You need to go and find tons of things. There's so much stuff that you normally just go and buy from the flea, and you basically sell everything that you've got in excess to the flea and buy everything that you need from the flea, and it evens out across the player base. Now you're gonna have to go and find it all yourself. This is going to mean that the hideout takes a lot longer. This is going to give people more to do over a long period of time. I was thinking that this might make the Bitcoin farm just completely untenable, but graphics cards probably won't need to be found in raid to insert them into the module, because they're not part of the actual requirement to make the Bitcoin farm. They're just an addition that comes later. So you probably will be able to buy those off the flea market later on, obviously after it opens up in 2 weeks time. So this is huge. Both of these 2 things are massive. I'm really excited to play the game with these 2 things in here, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think it's intriguing. A few other things. Increase the maximum size of rubles to 1 million. So before it was 500,000, now it's 1 million, so they pack down more easily. Maximum stack of GP coins to 100. This is good because they really do need to be used in stacks now. The limit for bringing rubles is up to 500,000, and in raid you can have up to 1 million. You can't bring in more than 500,000, but if you're in raid you can have up to 1 million with you. Increase the graphics card cost at ref to 100 GP coins. This is good because people were just farming this for cash. And then the CPC Mod 1 plate carrier. This is the class 5 rig, which people were again farming at ref. They've increased the cost to 32 GP coins, which is probably still not enough, but they've moved it to level 4, and level 4 ref is hard to get. So I'm actually pleased about that. That is good. It stops people getting so easy access to level 5 plates on ref 3, and it kind of balances that out between the Corund from Prapor, right? Like makes the Prapor route a little bit more sensible to go down. Then they've adjusted the ergonomics of recoil values on a load of the bipods. Don't know exactly how. They've probably made them a bit better. And then items from the following loot crates now have finding raid status. These are basically the arena loot crates. And what's interesting about this, I actually would quite like the equipment loot crates now, because you're going to get finding raid items, which you can then use in the hideouts. So these ones are now probably more valuable than they were before. Getting a non-finding raid bolt from arena was not that useful. Now it actually is useful. Right, then we have the list of fixes. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm not going to go through every single one, but there are some interesting parts. So fix the PvE AI bot freezing after death if the player received an achievement for killing them. So this one is basically every time you meet the bosses for the first time and you kill them, you get an achievement and they freeze in place. And if they were shooting while they were frozen in place, they just carry on shooting infinitely. And it really sucks. It's not good. So this is fixed. Thank goodness for that. And then there's also this one, fixed attention skill points gain when splitting ammo stacks in a raid. So you could split ammo stacks and gain infinite attention points. So they fixed that, which is nice. And then there was another one about the cultist circle here, which is, yes, fix missing rewards when completing a ritual. So now you'll always get an item. That was a bug, not a feature. And then Fix the issues when completing Lightkeeper's task Getting Acquainted. This is the task line to actually get into Lightkeeper, so it wasn't even possible to really get Lightkeeper this wipe. A few people managed to do it, but then there were some bugs and most people couldn't do it, which was really annoying. So thankfully that's fixed, so hopefully we can get Lightkeeper this wipe, because I got right up to Getting Acquainted and then just couldn't go any further, which sucked for the end game. Outside of that, there's lots of other stuff about incorrect grenades and visual location and geometry and several issues and things like that. But otherwise, I don't think anything is too crazy. There's a couple of ones which are quite funny, like missing move. I saw a few like accusations about this. Missing movement speed reduction with the blacked out leg after treating its bleeding. So presumably what's happened is the bleed status goes away and the game says, oh, you have like fixed the status and now you can run again on the blacked out leg. And people even without painkillers were able to run. And some people were like, hey, look, they must be cheating. But it's actually just a bug in the game. And yeah, a couple of other things like Woods and Reserve, you can look through some walls and that's been fixed. So few other random stuff at the end, but yeah, some of these things are absolutely huge. Like, I'm so excited to see what happens with the flea market and the finding raid status for Hideout, because that's going to have a huge impact on the game. Now, Arena is also getting patched at the same time, so let's just have a quick look through here. We won't spend too much time on this, but we're probably going to be playing Arena as well so that we can get the daily and weekly tasks over there to bring stuff over, because even though it has been nerfed, as we will see, then it is still going to be useful for some of those loot crates and some extra XP. So the new in-game event Christmas time has started, so you can do some stuff in here. There's a new task line, unique in-game achievement Christmas time, and there's bear and USEC winter clothing, upper and lower, and new festive items. And then during the event, players can transfer Christmas gifts and ornaments from Arena to EFT. So you'll benefit from playing Arena and going to get a few things done there. I mean, I play Arena semi-regularly now just to keep up my skills. I've definitely got better at PvP from doing it, so I'll go in and just complete my dailies at least and then transfer the stuff over. And we've got some winter weather season maps: Fort, Bay 5, Block, and Chop Shop, which have got a new snowy look, which is cool. And the winter locations are available for selection in all game modes, including ranked. They've done a complete rework on Equator, so hopefully that will make that map a little bit more fun. I actually don't mind Equator anyway, but they've changed it and changed some of the lighting, so it's a bit better. And then in Fort, they've changed Checkpoint and Teamfight. For Checkpoint in particular, they've expanded the respawn location and reworked the geometry to allow more flanking routes, and they've also added it to the Teamfight mode. For balancing, I'm not going to go through these too much, but the grenade is a little bit shorter. The assault can now get 545 39 and 762 by 39 BP for both of these. Makes assault that little bit more punchy, because a lot of the time assault ends up just having kind of crappy ammo. Scout can now get BS and APSX for the MP7, and then Marksman gets 7N39, MIA AP, and Le Pur Magnum AP. And a few other things like reduced MP cost for the 545 and 762 guns. Enforcer gets some more defense meta scores, so you can have it a little bit more armored. Enforcer probably is one of the weaker classes, simply because the typical Tarkov adage, right? You have the best bullets with the worst armor. That's usually the way you tend to go. And they've removed the semi-automatic 338 gun from the preset list. ETG, you can't use that anymore with Assault and Enforcer, so it's only going to be Scout and Marksman that you're allowed to use that with. And then there's some standard preset changes, which I don't think we really care about too much. Some of the stuff from original Tarkov is carried over to Arena as well: 1,000,000 ruble stacks and 100 GP coin stacks, and then also the fan and raid status like we talked about for these supply crates. Now this is probably the most impactful part: experience and task balancing. So reduce the amount of XP for weapons in the armory, reduce the amount of XP received after a match, increase the difficulty of daily and weeklies, reduce the amount of experience for those daily and weeklies, reduce the GP coins and the rubles, and reduce the GP coins and rubles received in all game modes. So it's a big nerf to Arena, progression, tasking, moving money over, getting GP coins, etc, etc. This effectively increases the cost of everything from ref. You can think about it either way. You either increase the cost over on ref explicitly, or you decrease the amount of GP coins that you win. Those two things effectively do the same thing. This is probably a good thing, given that based on some of the changes we saw over on regular EFT, they're trying to slow down the progression a bit. And then in the armory, they've changed a few parts here. Unlock conditions for certain equipment, just rebalancing it, making it a bit better. They had some collectible stuff here. So if you had the Vigi edition, you can now get his pants and the idea rig and balaclava and stuff like that. And those are going to be added to the account in various different ways, added to the armory and tactical clothing. And they have noted here, fixes and improvements that are not included in the current update, but are listed in the plan, will end up being in 2025 instead. So they're not just getting rid of anything. Those things will come, but just a little bit later, and got pushed out to a later patch. Some other fixes and improvements, bit of sound stuff, some matchmaking things, culling issues, usual stuff, interacting with the widget, achievements, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's it. I wish you all the best of luck in patch 16. I'm really looking forward to what this patch has in store for us. I think it's going to be quite a cool one, especially with things working again, hopefully with Lightkeeper, and also no flea for 2 weeks. That's actually a really long time. So we're going to see. I think it also evens it out a bit more with the casual player, and then having to find everything for your hideout with finding raid on it is going to extend the amount of time where the wipe feels like you've still got stuff to do. And I think that's what's important in EFT. You feel like you've got stuff to do. And then once you've got all those things done, you can then go and prestige at level 55. So I want to see what the requirements for that are so that we can get on to the next stage and figure out what to do next. So yeah, enjoy the wipe. I hope you have a great time, and I'll see you all soon. I have my drops on the 30th and the 31st of December. It is from 1 p.m. UK time, which is starting at 8 a.m. EST. So it's 8 EST till 8 p.m. EST, or 1 p.m. UK time until 1 a.m. I'm doing those 2 12-hour streams back to back on the 30th and the 31st. So come and say hi. I'll be on Twitch and over on YouTube as well. I'm also going to be making, lots of videos as usual, so keep an eye out on the channel. I'm going to kick things back into gear with patch 16. So until next time, as usual, big shout out to all my patrons, and as always, have fun in your raids.